How you doing, guys? Welcome back to Coffee and Juice. This is where I'm going to casually sip my coffee and speak about anabolics, TRT, TRT plus, and I also dive into the world of plastic surgery. I've been a professional patient for the last 20 years, and I'm touching 50 years of age. So all I intend to do with this content is add value and nuance to the current landscape. So is testosterone replacement a rich man's game? And also, what's the Rolls Royce of TRT? Stick around, find out, and maybe you'll learn something. All right, so whenever you want to explore the world of TRT or quote unquote low testosterone, what you're really trying to say or evaluate or assess on yourself is, do I have primary or secondary hypogonadism? So you're presenting with being hypogonadal. And remember, all these things like low T, fatigue, no zest for life are all symptoms of you being hypogonadal, either in one or two genres. So now the primary hypogonadism, or usually what people get treated for, and I'll explain to you why the other one maybe goes unnoticed, is that you present with biomarkers probably under 300 or 250, and you're clinically diagnosed with being hypogonadal. Do your testosterone paddle, free testosterone, etc. But now what you have to realize is that there's something called secondary hypogonadism. That means, in short, that you might have a meteorite size or a pea-sized tumor in your head pressing on your brain somewhere that causes a cascade of events or a non-cascade of events, leading back to the fact that your hormonal panel is in chaos and certain things aren't working right in your body, to put it in short. So now what it is that now you seek treatment. So what I'm trying to say is that we talk about secondary hypogonadism. So now how do we figure out if it's one or the other? And sometimes this is hard. But in certain places, treatment is more stringent. And what I mean by that, if all of a sudden you come in there and you're pretty well educated because you're seeking out testosterone, because you want to become a juice puppy, is that you're going to say all these things that I don't feel well, I'm tired, my penile member's like a wet noodle. And basically the doctor's going to look at you and maybe, give it a cursory glance and say, you know what? Probably hypogonadal. Maybe you're in a certain age range. So now what they do is they divvy out the test and you're a patient for life. Now, I always tell you I'm a professional patient, which means I've been doing this for 20 some odd years. So all I'm trying to say is that everything's a cautionary tale. And I'm telling you, look before you leap. But part of that process is that maybe you should figure out if you have a meteorite-sized tumor in your head with a scan. So all I'm trying to say is that maybe that's the root of the problem. And then if you do or you don't have a tumor in your head, you can figure out what comes next. All right. It's very, very common for people to have adenomas their whole life and never even know why. Okay. Sometimes if you had to figure out, why are my hormones askew? You could have something in your brain, or we're correlating now to secondary hypogonadism, is that might be the root cause of the problem. But if we kind of flip back to primary hypogonadism, that's usually where clinics will fall, endos will fall, unless the endocrinologist is very, very stringent. They're going to want to run you through tests, et cetera, et cetera. And it might not be the worst idea because you could kind of figure out the origin of these problems and you're not basically shooting in the dark, so to speak. All right, so that's primary and secondary hypogonadism, just to kind of preface on what's going to come next with this TRT world. Okay? So stick around and let's go a little bit deeper into this world. So now for you guys, I was up about 2 o'clock in the morning. It really had nothing to do with you, but the stims kept me up. So I created a beautiful thumbnail. And what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about something called Zyosted, which in my opinion is the Rolls Royce of TRT replacement. And I'm going to tell you why. But also, is TRT a rich man's game? And what I mean by that is that once you endeavor or you embark in the world of TRT or testosterone replacement, you have to realize you got to now go for the meds. You got to go get the body scans. You got to get the blood work every 3 to 4 months. It shouldn't be just once a year because we have to see what's going on overall. So keep in mind, if you want to do this or you need it, like I just spoke about being primary or being in the world of secondary hypogonadism, is that you may be a patient now, or you want to become a patient. And all I'm trying to say is that it always ends up coming back to polypharmacy and an expenditure that you're going to have to make every month, every year for the rest of your life. So all I'm trying to say is that everything is a cautionary tale and err on the side of caution. But now that we got that out of the way, and once again, I'm not a doctor, as you can tell, because I look like I'm homeless, and I always refer to that, but I'm actually not. I'm only here to help you. So what I want you to understand is that Zyosted, in my opinion, if you're going to do TRT and you're only looking to do 100 mgs a week and you're not a savage and you want to do 2 to 300 mgs a week, which means you're in the world of TRT plus, or you're running cycles and you're a little juice puppy, you're a puppy with big paws in the world of doing juice. So now keep in mind, the Zyosted, why I feel it's the Rolls Royce, is that in a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, it all depends, is I'm going to show you how much it costs. Now, if you're insured and you're insulated and that's not a problem for you, then I highly recommend Zyosted. I'm not sponsored by this company, but I've used it, and now I'm giving back my anecdotes to you. So with that being said, they come in 100, 75, or 50. Now, it's for TRT replacement, but it also handles another world of people that are looking to transition, and that might be you, from female to male. So now this is a sub-Q auto-injector pen that you can inject anywhere. You can even inject it into your hand. So now a lot of the people that watch this, you're probably sick and tired of stabbing yourself with a sub-Q needle or an insulin needle, or you're going intramuscular like I do, and it's an 1.5 inch needle that's stabbing you in the glute muscles, and your glutes look like a minefield at the end of the day. So all I'm trying to say is that if you might want to cruise, something to cruise with would be something like Zyosted, because it's very easy. I know they indicate in the literature that you could put it into your abdomen, but it's not a recommendation. But always keep in mind, it's still oil or testosterone enanthate going into your stomach, which in turn can give you a slight lump or bruising. So me personally, my anecdote with that, it either goes in the shoulder, or even better yet, it could go in the thigh and it will not hurt you. It's probably the most simplest thing on the planet, and that's probably why it costs so much money. So now Zyosted, 50, 75 milligrams to 100 milligrams. So now I showed you the pictures. I'm showing you the charts. So now out of pocket, Zyosted's going to cost you $580 for 400 milligrams of testosterone. Now, all my street pharmacists out there are saying to themselves, I mean, I rip people off, but I would never do that to anybody. So now Big Pharma's in play, and what they did is they created an auto-eject pen, and I don't know who created it, but I have my theories. So now, with the Zyosted, it's very easy to inject, it's very easy to use, and it's very easy to dispose of. But once again, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and if you're not insured, it's going to be a dilemma. And do you even have accessibility to Zyosted in your country of origin? I'm not sure. But when I say it's the Rolls Royce, it's not only the price, but it's the ease of use regarding this particular implement. So it's something that you might want to think about if you're scared of needles. You don't want to lather yourself in a gel or a cream. You don't want them to sew pellets into your body, et cetera, et cetera. Now, keep in mind, we'll eventually do a video on how you could deploy testosterone into your life, regardless if you're a recreational user or you're a patient like myself. So keep in mind, Zyosted, highly recommend it. But keep in mind, the first thing you want to do that we could circle back to is that try to get a normal clinical diagnosis of what's going on with you. And you may be presenting with symptoms. So go get your body scans, go get your DEXA scans, and go get your blood work to see exactly where you are. And now another pro tip, since you're stuck around this long, I tell you that I've been a patient for 20 years. Do you think that I have all my blood works, all my labs in a little folder or in a book? And I'm going to tell you, I may look unprepared, but I have every piece of blood work for the last 20 years in a nice Hello Kitty notebook. So what I recommend to you is that if you want to quantify or keep metrics on yourself because you're a professional patient, not somebody doing something willy-nilly, is that you should keep a record on yourself. And the reason why is that, let's say you're a TRT patient, hypothetically, and then you start talking to the bros, you got a vacation coming up, you're going through a bad breakup, and you're sick of crying and you say, you know how I could pull myself out of this? Maybe I'll start implementing some more chemical warfare into my life so I don't feel so terrible about my girl leaving me for my best friend, right? So what it is that you're gonna look at the data on you, because at the end of the day, the only one who's gonna care about you, besides me, is gonna be you. So keep the records on yourself, quantify everything you do, and have those metrics. So now, when people talk about protensively looking at a patient, that means over a long period of time, we can kind of say, you know what? Due to the fact that this guy, he was transparent. I'm the doctor now, right? Even though I'm not a doctor. He seemed to jump on 200 milligrams of Proviron, and then he also started doing D-ball. And you know what? Now we can figure out why his liver is basically in failure. So what I'm saying is that keep records on yourself, do it right if you're going to start. And if you're going to start, as a recommendation, and obviously the TRT clinics are going to give you compounded testosterone, which depends on the clinic. It's either going to be super high quality or maybe not so. So be mindful on who you seek out regarding your TRT clinics. And remember, your third man in the ring might want to be an endocrinologist or urologist overseeing everything that's going on. Plus, maybe they're also going to offer another way to implement your testosterone replacement. So look, I hope you got something out of it. Be smart about what you're doing. I know a lot of times everything's coming off very comedic, but this is a very serious topic, and I don't want you to make a mistake. Keep in mind, 20 years of experience, a lot of different places, a lot of different viewpoints when it comes to treatment. So look, coffee and juice, take care of yourself and take care of others. We'll talk soon.